Welcome to episode number 42 of the Introvert Biz Growth Podcast, the show where I talk to introverts who grow their business and make a difference. As always, I'm Sarah Senecroce, your host, and thrilled that you're spending this time with me for another great episode. Today I'm talking to Calvin Correli, a Danish programmer who now lives in New York. Before the interview, I'd like to address my male listeners. Today's episode is the last interview with a male introvert for a while. I have at least 5 episodes scheduled with female introverts. Now, my intention was never to create a women-only show. I really find the male geeky stories just as fascinating. But somehow the interviews and referrals I get, at least from now on, seem to be all from women. So, if you're a man, you're listening to this show and enjoying the content, and if you're an introverted entrepreneur, why not reach out to me to be interviewed in a future episode? Or maybe you are a woman and know a man who would make a great fit. Well, why don't you reach out? It'd be great to have a nice mix of male and female introverts on this show. Now, on to the interview. Calvin Correli is an artist, entrepreneur, and the CEO of a holistically focused multi-million-dollar software company called Simplero. Calvin is passionate about helping online business owners do exactly what brings them most alive and is currently working on branching out to bring all of his talents, including music, you'll hear about that in his story, spirituality, and personal growth into the service of entrepreneurs. Hey, Calvin, how are you today?
I am fantastic. Thank you very much for asking. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, it's been a beautiful, long summer here in Switzerland, and I can't complain. We're recording this at the end of the summer. It'll actually be live. It's probably going to be already fall. So how about you? You've been traveling?
Yeah, there's been a lot of travel recently to Denmark. I'm from Denmark, so I've been back in Denmark a couple of times. I have 2 children over there.
Oh, not too far from me.
No, exactly. Yeah, same time zone.
Yeah, exactly.
So brought them over here, and then we went to California, to Disneyland together, which is cute because when I was about their age, they're 9 and 12 now. When I was like 10 or 11, my dad took my brother and me to Disney World in Florida. So it was a nice full circle moment.
Good memories, right? Yeah. Yeah, we used to live in California for 4 years, and so we were just right next to Disneyland. And so it's kind of like people would go to the park, we would go to Disneyland because we knew we only had 4 years. So yeah, they still talk about it, obviously. Great. Okay, Calvin, all starts to make sense to me now that, because we have this kind of inside joke that the Nordic countries are pretty much all introverted. At least that's what we say here in Europe. So it's interesting that you say that you're from Denmark. I didn't know that. So maybe besides your official bio that I already read, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and something that my introverted audience can relate to?
Yeah. I started programming computers very, very early in my life because both my parents were actually programmers from like very right as they were invented. They started programming when there were 5 computers in all of Denmark.
Wow.
And they were both programmers, which is amazing. And so they taught me how to program, and I got into that world. And very quickly I found out that people were difficult and complicated and scary, and computers were amazing because I could control them. And so, I got really good at computers and programming from an early age. Both my parents were also entrepreneurs. My dad had a company that did shop fitting for gas stations, which is like a very weird, very specialized industry. And my mom started a software company in the early 80s, became market leading as basically the Microsoft Office suite for the Danish market before Microsoft Office. And had a good business doing that. And so, I guess the whole software entrepreneurship was something that I got in with my birthright, or like from early on.
Wow. Okay.
And introvertedness, right? So it was just like books and computers. And I was very bullied in school. So it was like, nah, don't go out there with the peoples.
Okay. Even in Denmark?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So when did you move to the States?
I moved here twice. I moved here in 99 when I was studying computer science, and I wanted to do a year studying abroad. And then I realized that there was this whole .com thing happening, and it didn't make any sense to pay tens of thousands of dollars in tuition when I could make 100 grand a year working here. So I did that. I moved back to Denmark at the end of 2001 and then actually left New York 10 days before 9/11, moved to San Francisco, and then ended up back in Denmark pretty much because of 9/11, because the company I worked for then ended up firing everybody on the West Coast as a consequence of 9/11. And then ended back in Denmark, and then I wasn't back in the States again until 4 years ago.
Oh, okay. So it's just fairly recent. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And how?
But I knew the whole time that I wanted to move back here.
Okay, so now it's kind of permanent.
Yeah.
You never know, right?
You never know. I don't see myself moving back to Denmark. I have a strong love of Italy.
Interesting.
I don't think I want to live in Italy, but
I have a house in Sicily. If you're ever interested, I have a strong love for Italy as well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's a bit of a stretch because right now you're in New York, not in California. So it's closer, I guess, to Italy, but it's still kind of a trip.
Oh, it is. Yeah. We were just there in June. I've never been to Sicily, but more like the northern parts.
Okay.
Florence and Cinque Terre and all that.
Nice.
Yeah, it was super nice.
Cool. But otherwise, you've pretty much decided, okay, this is where I am right now, and this is where I'm going to do business.
Yeah.
And so how does that fit with your introversion? Because, generally speaking, the US is probably more extroverted than Denmark.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of on the balance of, I'm not like super introverted, but I'm definitely not extroverted either. Like I can fluctuate a bit.
An ambivert.
Yes, exactly. One thing I really like about this country is that people are so talkative. It's easy to go out and like have dinner. When I go out to a restaurant, I like to sit at the bar and I like to talk to the bartender and the other people around me. And I've made friends that way. And that does not happen in Denmark. And just like in the supermarket or whatever, like just on the street, you talk to people, you talk to the barista, you make friends with them. I really like that. One trick I have maybe here is that I live on the 20th floor in a very lively part of town in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. So I can sit up here and be myself and do my work and focus and make music or program or whatever, right? And then look at the people out in the street and look at all this life around me. And there's something kind of nice about that.
Yeah, that's very true because I work from home and sometimes I miss people around me. It's not like I want to interact with them, but just sit at a cafe and see them,
Yeah, totally.
That gives
Sometimes if I'm in a hotel room and there isn't like life around me, I'll turn on the television and put it on mute. I don't care about what they're saying, but I kind of like to have a little sense of life going on there.
Right. Yeah. And it's totally true. When we came back from California, I was happy to come back because I wanted to raise my kids with European kind of values and stuff. But at the same time, that's exactly what I was missing. What you're saying is kind of like this kind of friendliness. And, obviously you're not going to make friends with all these people that you just meet at the supermarket or talk to at the bar. But what does it cost to just be, friendly and talk to them? And people don't do that here.
Yeah, exactly. So funny. We were stuck in Phoenix, Arizona for a week a couple of years ago because of car issues. So we found this coffee shop that we went and worked at every day for a week. And we, again, started to talk to the barista. Turned out that she had Danish family. So she had actually spent a year living in a small town in Denmark at one point just to kind of connect with that part of her family. And she told us that when she got to Denmark, she was like so annoyed that people were so quiet and didn't, respond when she talked to them and nobody talked to each other. And she was like, this is so weird. And then after a year, when she moved back to Phoenix, she was like, stop talking to me. What are you doing? Like, leave me alone.
People here would actually think, what's wrong with you? Why are you commenting on my shoes? Or things like
that. I can see both sides to that, honestly. Yeah,
exactly. Well, great. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about, how you run your business and how you currently generate revenue, what my audience is interested in. So they're fellow introverted online entrepreneurs. And so I just kind of try to go into the stories a little bit and discover how you built your business and what kind of income streams you have, how it's set up. Is it a membership? So tell us a bit about that.
Well, it's very simple. So my revenue comes from Simplero, which is a software product that I created for people selling online courses. It does everything that you need, basically, from the website to getting email addresses to sending emails, email marketing, marketing automation, to taking people's money and giving them something in return, content, video, audio, all that, membership sites, landing pages, affiliate program. I can't think of what you would need really that isn't included. The whole idea is to take that job of trying to figure out how to make all these pieces fit together off of your shoulders and also give you one place to reach out to when you need help. It's giving good customer service is something that we really, really pride ourselves on. That's where my revenue comes from. We're, without being too specific, but like in the multi-millions. And it's very introverted in the sense that I've created a machine that runs, apart from like we have to have someone to answer people's questions. But other than that, everything just runs without, human intervention, basically. And that's how I like it, so that I have my freedom to do what I want.
Of course. So it's a membership site where people pay a monthly fee, right?
Yeah, you could call it that. It's
more than that, but
it's a software. It's software as a service,
okay.
Right? Yes.
Yeah. I like how you kind of simplify it though and just say, it just runs. But obviously it doesn't just run. You need still a team that helps this thing run, right? So you still have to not just create the software, but create the business around it.
Until a little over a year ago, maybe a year and a half, like for the longest time, I've been doing this for 8 years. And for the longest time, I've been doing it solo. And, I did have to answer people's questions, but no, really, it's software. It runs on a server, and I make things so that I don't need to I hate repeating myself, whether, when speaking or doing other kind of work tasks. So I really set it up so that I don't need to repeat myself. I make it, into software, and it just runs on the server. I do have a team, and we're 6 people now, and I work on it too. But I work on it because I want to, because I'm like, I want to use this feature for my own site. The ability to have your website there and your blog there is something that we did recently. And just a couple of weeks ago, I moved my blog over from WordPress, which I hate, to now run on Simplero. And so in order to do that, I built a simple import function, so you can import your blog posts from WordPress, and it retains all the same URLs. So all the Google links and all the other links to your blog still work. And then as I'm using Simplero for my blogging, I add little features here and there that I want, or whatever comes up. I mean, one of the things that I love is to do things that our customers are asking for, where I'm like, you know what, I can just do that right now. And then like an hour later, you're like, here you go, it's done. And then they're like, whoa, that's amazing. And it's super fun for me. It's funny because like the way I started with this, I was always a software engineer and always an entrepreneur, but I wasn't very successful as an entrepreneur. And then life crisis, and I started to get into coaching, and I ended up taking a coaching education. And that's when I realized that some of these things that I had learned would be super useful for other entrepreneurs. And I started teaching, and that's when I discovered online courses. And that was back in 2008. That led me to learn online marketing. And then I became kind of like the leading expert in online marketing in Denmark for this kind of thing, or like part of a small group of people that were leading that field back in the late aughts. But once I got really going with Simplero, I realized I have zero passion for marketing. It was fun for a while, but it doesn't really get me excited. What I realized is like what I love to do is I love to make the best product I know how to do, and just keep making that better and better day after day. And I love to give people exceptionally good service. And just really see them, really answer their question, really understand what they're after, what they're asking, and just serve them the best I know how to do. Those are the 2 things I love. And so I've just focused on that and let my customers do the marketing and let things unfold.
Still, though, I think the fact that you did have this online marketing experience, I'm sure it helped, because if you just take a programmer who has no marketing experience whatsoever, he can create a great product, but then how is he going to have these millions of users, right? So you still have to market your product, and I'm sure that online marketing experience helped you a lot in getting off the ground.
Yeah, you could be right. I mean, what it really was my friends in that network telling all their friends that they should use my software, and that was what got it off the ground. A lot of marketing is just common sense, and if you're a good strategic thinker, it becomes obvious what you can do to spread the word.
So what about your introverted superpowers? From what I understand, it's you want to create this great customer service, and introverts are usually really good at listening Would you say that's one of the things that you're good at? You listen to the customer, you understand their needs, and that's why you can deliver great service?
I think there could be something to that, definitely. Something I've noticed is that I'll very often find myself in situations where two people are talking to each other and one person is asking a question and the other is answering. I'm like, no, like that wasn't what this person was actually asking about, And
I
then
hate
like,
that
I
when
think
they're like, just like blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
exactly.
well, that's
I'm like,
not
I think what you were trying to ask was this. Is that correct? And yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. No,
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times people will ask something that's like, how do I do this? And you're like, why would you want to do that? What are you actually trying to achieve here? Because I think there's a much better way to do that than what you're thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you think of another strength that as an introvert, you think that's helped to grow your business?
I think like just staying with it. I've been doing it for 8 years and just like every day, just getting up. And it's been a great blessing to have my customers there who needed this for their business. And they've been like, there have been periods in the early days where I was wanting to give up and thought I wanted to do something else and things like that. And just having these customers that I needed to serve them. I just couldn't not. I felt a strong responsibility, strong obligation to take care of these people because they put their trust in me. And that really pulled me through. So just like sticking with it for the long haul has made a huge difference.
I think you're right. That's definitely an introverted trait. I mean, there's extroverts who are good at it too, but I think introverts don't get distracted as fast and they're not looking for the quick kind of gratification, right?
Yeah. And just enjoying noodling with it,
Yeah.
just like tinkering. And I had this dream for years and years of like, I just want to have this like product, this machine that works, that brings in revenue that I can just like incrementally improve, right? I was dreaming of having this thing where I could just like go make small improvements every day and just like send it out there and then it's there. And then the next day I can make another little tweak and send that out there. And then one day I woke up and realized, oh my God, that's exactly what I have.
You worked hard and you got there.
Yeah. The funny thing is like I caught myself wishing for it, not realizing that I already had it at that moment.
Right. We always want more. And so sometimes it's like, hey, look at what I have. It's right there.
Exactly. Yeah.
What about one of the challenges as an introvert growing this business?
Yeah, I think, not reaching out and not involving other people or the right other people. I do tend to get stuck sitting here in my high tower in the 20th floor and looking out these windows. I have like windows facing both west and south. So I have an amazing view and I can just sit up here all day and imagine that I'm talking to a bunch of people when I'm really not. I'm just sitting here, maybe speaking into a computer screen,
Yeah. So kind of getting out of your cave is one of the challenges.
I have this project that I'm really excited about that I've been dreaming about for years and years, which is I haven't come up with a perfect name for it yet, like conscious nation building or like politics 2.0. I want to say, like, what if we forget everything that we have currently by way of like political institutions and policies and institutions and schools and like everything that we have as a society and start over, just rethink the whole thing, given like not my particular political views, understanding the entirety of the population, but how would we design that? And then work backwards from there to figure out like how might we go about implementing some of these things. And I have this good friend, Andy, who's Australian. And for me, this was like a down the road sometime in the way future project. And he was like, dude, you need to do that now. You need to figure out this stuff. And I'm like, and then I start to like write my thoughts down and like read books and think all about it. And then he's like, we need to bring together groups and people and like talk about this stuff and, involve other people. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I hadn't realized that.
That's great because now you have a business that runs on itself. Well, you can actually, and that's what my podcast is all about, make a difference. And so this project sounds like that's what it's all about, is making a big difference.
Yeah, I'm fascinated with how we organize ourselves, like on an individual level, at a community or group level, like a company or, some organization or city maybe, and then at the national level, at the collective global level, if you will. So how we organize ourselves is just, we're not doing a very good job of it. in one way. In another way, it's like the fact that we get along at all and get anything done and have institutions is like pure magic,
That's true.
So
it sounds like a huge project, but
a little bit.
It's time to start now. So you have to start somewhere. And I think your buddy is probably right. Now's the time.
Yeah. But once the gates opened for that, I was like, I just became so excited. I'm like, this is what I need to be doing. I've been writing in a book about entrepreneurship, and I'm also making music, and I've just realized those are good, and I'm passionate about both still. But entrepreneurship is super interesting because it fits into the bigger picture for me of how we organize ourselves and what role businesses play in that. And the music is interesting to me because it's a way to really tug at people's heartstrings and open their hearts. I don't know if you know this, but Freud, back in the 1800s in Vienna, where he lived, there would be, these violin quartet concerts and whatnot, music playing. And every time there was music playing, Freud would slip out of the room and disappear because he was terrified of that feeling of transcendence, of something bigger than himself that music made him feel. He couldn't have that. He couldn't handle that feeling. So he had to get away from it. And, what are we, 150 years later or something, we're still kind of stuck in this world that he created for us.
Yeah, so, I totally agree. I'm usually jealous of people who have music in their life and, can create their own music, obviously, but also, just maybe have somebody in the family or something. We're going to a concert tonight, so really looking forward to that. So,
what kind of concert?
Band of Horses. So it's just a very small concert. But we made a promise last year that we're going to try at least 3 concerts per year to just kind of get this, I don't know, it gives me goosebumps whenever I'm at a concert. And so you're totally right about, you can reach people's heart. It's true. Yeah. Wow. Cool. Yeah. Let's talk about the 3 golden nuggets. So these are kind of more like really practical things. So the first one would be a personal habit. So something that you do or have done on a regular basis that you think contributed to your success.
I'm going to have to go with consistency again. It's something that I've actually always struggled with because I'm not good with routines, like waking up at the same time every day and doing the same thing like that. That doesn't really work for me. I need more variety than that. But recently meaning in the past 6 months or so, I've really started to dig it. I was able to go through what that resistance was about, do some work on that. And now I actually find that the daily routine very liberating. So I get up in the morning and I have this, if you want, probiotic and glass of water and with lemon juice, and I do a yoga practice and then meditation, and then I journal 3 pages, morning pages. A girl named Julia Cameron came up with this. She wrote a book called The Artist's Way. And then I have these things that I'm serious about that are not kind of my primary focus, but that I want to make sure that I get done. And so, for example, I'm learning to play the guitar, something that I always wanted to do, but I was a pianist, but never really a guitarist. And so now I make sure that every day, at least 20 minutes on the guitar. Every day, at least 20 minutes sitting down writing music or, producing a track or something that is, creating music. Depending on how much time, I'm also learning Italian. That tends to slip a little bit. My drumming tends to slip a little bit. But I have to be realistic as well with my time. But that process of figuring out what are the important projects that I want to learn or move forward with that are not the primary work that I do, and make sure that I just get 20 minutes. And usually the guitar I enjoy so much that it turns into 40 minutes or 60 minutes. But,
cool.
Just get started and promise yourself 20 minutes. I think that is so important. Again, it's the consistency. When I was down and struggling as an entrepreneur and all that, there was this guy, a former US president that I don't know much about, but I took his first name because of it. His name was Calvin Coolidge. And there's this quote by him saying, persistence is everything, basically. Talent is nothing. There's plenty of talented people who never make it. Genius is nothing. Misunderstood, unaccomplished genius is almost an idiom. I forget. But basically, the only thing that really gets you anywhere is persistence. So I took that to heart.
Yeah, I forget who first mentioned it, but basically the theory goes that you need 10,000 hours of doing something consistently to actually, get the
the
whole thing
Malcolm
right.
Gladwell. Yes.
Yeah, it's a Malcolm Gladwell. Yeah. So so that goes together. Yeah. Okay. What about something besides Simplero, of course, which I'll link to, but another internet resource something that you use every day?
Yes. I'm going to go with 1Password.
Mm.
My password manager. I mean, I don't know if you saw there was like this scandal in Sweden.
Oh, I didn't.
Where the government wanted to move all their data to the cloud and didn't know what they were doing.
Oh, no.
And so all that information was leaked, including things like name, photo, and address of everybody in the Swedish witness protection program, all the fighter pilots in the Air Force, all kinds of ridiculous things.
Man.
Yeah. And the minister in charge was given the highest possible punishment, which was a fine of half a month's salary.
That's it?
That's it. No, but the point is that internet security is something that we all need to care about and understand. And I regret that it is this way, but that is the way it is. And so, something like using a password manager, the whole idea behind 1Password is that you only need to remember one password, which is the password for 1Password. And then every single time that you sign up for a new service, you just let 1Password auto-generate a unique password that you don't have to ever see or know what it is or remember, and let it take care of it. And you can stick all kinds of other things in there, your credit card, your passports, your all that, bank accounts and things like that. So you have everything in one place. And I use it every day and I love it so much.
I'm always amazed when I work with a new client and, they're like a bit older and they're like, oh, I can't remember this password. I'm like, you don't have a password manager? Well, no wonder you're going nuts. Yeah. How could you
Apple
remember all these passwords?
Apple has iCloud keychain and it's not bad, but this one, works on all devices, and it makes it easy to share. So that's how we share passwords on the team.
Are you a big reader like most introverts, or?
Yeah. Recently, I've gotten really excited about audiobooks because then what I do is when I do my yoga in the morning, I'm listening to a book at the same time.
Ooh, okay. I'm not sure isn't that cheating a bit?
I'm all for cheating when it comes to these things. Yeah, it works for me and I really enjoy it.
But you don't meditate and listen to a book?
No, I don't. But it depends on what I'm doing. But I did do my own kind of guided visualization that I use for my meditation sometimes. So binaural beats and some thunder and rain. I like the sound of that. So
which audiobook would you recommend?
I think I'd say Everything by Byron Katie. She has her kind of main book is Loving What Is. And then there's another one that says, I Need Your Love. Is That True? This stuff is so critical. Really realizing that anytime we are suffering, anytime we're frustrated or feeling anything but joy, really it's not because of anything that's going on. It's only because of our thinking. It's only because of how we think about things.
I think we cannot repeat that to ourselves enough, right?
Yeah.
No matter how much work you do on yourself, I think it's still going to have to be repeated.
Exactly. Yeah. And the whole love, approval, appreciation, all that stuff, right? Where we think that we need someone else to appreciate us or love us or whatever. It's all bogus. We don't need anything.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good kind of ending to come full circle and ask my last question about what it is you're grateful for today or this week.
Yeah, I was talking to a fellow musician last week. Kate is her name. She's out in California. And I wasn't sure, I was like, what am I going to talk to her about? But then we talked. And then she just really helped me see that how did this discipline that I have of, with the yoga and with the meditation and with the practicing guitar, apply that to writing songs and to, producing tracks as well. That was her that got me to do that. And I really needed to hear that. I'm super grateful for that. She also prodded me to move forward with putting together a band so I can go out and play. I'm so grateful for that.
That's awesome. Sometimes you just need somebody else to tell you and you're like, it's funny. I knew that, but it just helps to have somebody tell you that. Yeah.
It's kind of the simplest thing, but it was really like, of course I can do that. We have these blind spots that we don't really see.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this great conversation. Felt really easy to talk to you. And I think congratulations for your business and for moving to California and then back and now in New York. It's quite a journey, and I think for an introvert, a move is not always easy. So
yeah. I spent a year in India as well on that path.
nice.
That was interesting.
Well, if you ever want to go to Sicily, let me know and hook me up, and I can set you up in my house. I actually have a retreat planned for introverts in 2018. So,
oh my God. I'm going to have to come.
A nice first. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much for taking the time, Colin.
You too. It was a true pleasure to speak with you. And thank you so much to everybody who's listening too as well. I always appreciate it when people care about these things and they stick through the end as well. So thank you.
Thank you. That's it for this episode of the Introvert Biz Growth Podcast. You'll find this episode's show notes at sarahsantacroce.com/episode 42. If you're listening to this show on a mobile device, don't forget that you can click on the description and you'll actually find all the clickable links there. Talking about clickable links, make sure you check out also sarahsantacroce.com/books. My virtual assistant Mara has created a beautiful compilation of 20 of the favorite books of my past podcast guests. So head over to sarahsantacroce.com/books and grab it so you can add some new books to your Kindle reading list for this holiday season. Thanks so much for listening. This is Sarah Santacroce signing off from the Introvert Biz Growth Podcast. Remember, you need to use your unique introverted superpowers in order to make a difference.